Shape of bacteria. Bacteria can be grouped into the 4 categories based on the shape. Usually the bacteria, they have a definite shape, and based on that only it is categorized into number 1, coccus, or plural is the cocci word. Coccus or cocci forms are spherical or ovoid or oval in shape. Can have a look to the diagram. Means these spherical bacteria may exist singly or maybe in the pairs. Number 2 is a Bacillus, or again the plural is Bacilli. A rod-shaped bacteria called Bacillus forms. Okay. These Bacillus forms, they usually during the unfavorable conditions forms spores. Means their cytoplasm get contracted or they then produce a thick wall around them. That is during especially the unfavorable condition. Number 3 is the Vibrium, or again the plural is mentioned here, is the Vibrio. Vibrio or Vibrium form, they are comma shaped. The comma shaped forms are called as the Vibrio. Number 4 is Spirillum, again is the singular, and plural is drawn or shown in the diagram is Spirilla. Spirilla means it is a spiral shaped, and these Spirilla forms, they are usually flagellated. They have a flagella for mobility or motility it is. Next is about the nutrition in the bacteria. Bacteria based on their mode of nutrition can be categorized into the 2 categories, autotrophic and heterotrophic bacteria. Autotrophic bacteria further can be categorized into photosynthetic autotrophs or the chemosynthetic autotrophs. And the next is heterotrophic. Further are of 3 types: saprophytic, symbiotic, and parasitic forms. Starting with the first is autotrophic mode of nutrition. Name indicate autotrophic. Auto means self, troph means a food. Means they prepare their food themselves. They are called autotrophs. And further are of 2 types, photosynthetic and chemosynthetic autotrophs. So students, the topic is important, carrying the good weightage of 2 to 3 marks. A difference question, can have a look. We are going to take up in the form of a difference also. We will in a review points mein. So what is the difference between the phototrophic and the chemosynthetic mode of nutrition? So taking up the first is about the photosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition. Photosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition name indicate. Photo means for the light. They use light energy. to prepare the food, or we can say to reduce the CO2. But instead of the water, they use or they take the hydrogen from H2S. So can you recall the equation for the photosynthesis? Means carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of a light and a chlorophyll, they produces the food C6H12O6 plus O2. Okay. So, but here in the photosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition, they do not use the water. Instead of the water, they use H2S. Okay. So that is your second point. Your third point can be, in the case of photosynthetic autotrophs, they have a pigment, and that pigment is a chlorobium and a bacteriochlorophyll. This pigment is not like that of a higher plant. It is a pigment found only in the bacterias. And the next point, equally good, important always whenever writing, is with the example. So the example for the photosynthetic autotrophs is green sulfur bacteria. So if we will consider the opposite to this, about in the chemosynthetic, they don't use a light. If they do not use a light, so from where they get the energy to prepare the food? So then the point comes is, they obtain the chemical energy from ammonia, or they convert the ammonia to nitrites, and then nitrites is to be converted into nitrates, and for that there is a category of bacteria named as nitrifying bacteria or ammonifying bacteria. Repeating, in a chemosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition, they obtain the chemical energy from oxidizing the various inorganic substances, maybe ammonia, maybe nitrite, and maybe nitrates. And from that they get energy. And understood, if they are obtaining the energy from chemicals, they do not require the pigment, but they play the very important role in recycling of the nutrients, because if you remember, these components also we will take up in details with again the examples in your fourth unit. So they play an important role in the nutrient cycles like the nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. The examples for the chemosynthetic autotrophs are nitrosomonas or nitrobacter. So for this chapter, these examples you may or may not be able to go through, but this topic again will be in details in your topic of the nitrogen cycle. So, but if you are writing this question of the difference between photosynthetic, chemosynthetic, if you write with the example, it gives seems to be a good attempt again, getting the good credit and then the answer. Okay. So coming to the next is the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In a heterotrophic mode of nutrition, already taken the first point, we are going to take a first type is saprophytic or decomposers. So as we know already, decomposers or bacteria, they are the best decomposers, we can say. They decompose the dead bodies, the free living bacteria, they obtain the food from dead decaying organic matter. They are called the saprophytes or decomposers. Second is the symbiotic mode of a nutrition. Symbiotic means the two organisms both live together and both are benefited. A very good example for it is the rhizobium. Repeating, in symbiotic mode of a nutrition, two organisms live in mutual association with the other organism. The example is rhizobium, which help in nitrogen fixation, which lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plants, means pulses, gram, pea, beans, etc. So next is the parasitic forms. Name indicate they depends on the host, means they causes the diseases, maybe in the plants or in the animals. The disease causing bacteria is called as pathogenic bacteria. The diseases caused by the bacteria in human beings are, at least you should know the few examples, students. Again, is important. Do learn as much you can, the scientific names also for your objectives. So, human diseases caused by the bacteria are tuberculosis. The genus for it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Number 2 is leprosy. Again, the same genus Mycobacterium, but species is different, leprae. It also brings about the tetanus or a lockjaw caused by the Clostridium tetani, or a cholera, etc. is the diseases caused by the bacteria to the human beings. So in addition, they may brings about the STDs, means sexually transmitted diseases, are also caused by the bacteria, syphilis or gonorrhea. So that was for the human beings. They also brings about the diseases in the case of animals also. So the animal disease, the example is anthrax, the scientific name of the bacteria which brings about the anthrax in cattle usually, but from the cattle it can be transmitted to the human beings also, is the Bacillus anthracis. And the example for the plant disease is citrus canker. The genus or the scientific name of the bacteria is Xanthomona citri. Citrus plants means is that a lemon, orange, etc. So students, these diseases I have discussed with you is only mainly is your NCERT based. So if you are going through the examples, means the genus is important. So again, if you are writing the name of the disease with the examples can be asked in your exams, is a 1 mark or a 2 mark disease, 1 mark question it can be from the diseases topic. Okay.